Hi Aquarius, welcome to your May 2018 love reading. It's Raina here. I went to bed at 4 this morning and I couldn't even think straight enough to remember what month I'm doing this for. Don't ask me why I went to bed at 4 in the morning. It wasn't like I was carousing or anything like that. It's just like I'm recording this on April 12th. And they say that this new moon in Aries is going to be very intense or energizing. And they said you might have sleepless nights. I'm like, okay, I guess they were right. So if you're watching before April 12th or even after April 12th, you can confirm whether or not that happened with you too. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pick an additional card just because the Five of Wands is one of those cliffhangers, or it doesn't seem like it resolves things. Oh, you got the soulmate card. Oh, okay. Well, there was a time when I was getting that Six of Cups, the soulmate card, in every reading, it seemed like. I mean, for every sign, or practically all the signs. And then it kind of like died out. And I just got it, you know, for Virgo at the very least. So, wow. Okay. So, the heart of the matter is represented by the Eight of Pentacles. You may be like very busy with your work. Maybe training for something, Aquarius. Getting your, getting a certification or credentials to be able to do something. Maybe you're an intern. And just, I mean, I'm looking at it from the work standpoint, but even in relationships, you may be like really trying to make something happen. Like you're working very hard at something. When I see that card, even in the upright position, I think of somebody who is putting in more effort, elbow grease in the relationship than maybe the other person. And it's not that I think that 100% of the time that that's going to be bad, because in some cases the other person may simply be a little bit reluctant to trust, and therefore they're a little bit gun shy, and they're a little bit kind of timid about whether or not they can be themselves in the relationship. And so you may be more of the aggressor trying to make things happen, but at some point it has to be mutual. What crosses you, and then, oh, by the way, and that could even be a relationship with an earth sign individual. So Taurus is a fellow fixed sign. That might be somebody that you find is your match. Could be a Virgo, and sometimes they get together, just even though they have certain similarities, but this is kind of a weird angle. And likewise, it can be a Capricorn. And you may even meet in the workplace. What crosses you is the King of Cups. And I said the workplace, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, what about a boss? So, I wonder if there's anybody out here who would have this situation where you're having an affair with your coworker, or you're attracted to your coworker, but you're really having an affair with your boss. And maybe your boss is creating problems for you for whatever reason, whether they're jealous that you're also seeing a coworker. Now, if this proves, if any of you have had this situation and you don't mind sharing it, of course, it is kind of a personal situation, so I can see why you might not want to, but if there is, that might be proof. You can prove to me that I could say just about anything, and there's going to be one person out there who has this particular situation going on. Because, when you look at these readings, we're talking about them covering so many people that it's a little bit silly to take these very seriously. One of the things that I think, though, is that it doesn't really matter what cards that I pick. They can be applied to everybody's situation. It's just I don't have time to go through all the possibilities. And it's really not about the actual cards, but the message behind them. And how you can apply it to your life, because you can always apply things to your life. With the King of Cups, this person, whether they are in your life or not, in terms of the workplace, maybe it's the father of your child, and this person is really trying to put the kibosh on a new relationship of yours. This person is emotionally abusive and doesn't belong in your life, but you may not have a choice if they are the father of your child, because you might have to, you probably have to deal with him when you drop off the child, if he has joint custody. And so you're going to have to figure out a way to not get triggered, and also maybe even to get around having to be around him in the first place. But, another thing too is, if you're with somebody that you're trying, now this could be like a water sign person, and you tell me, Scorpio, Aquarius, why do you get so attracted to Scorpio? Yes, you're both fixed signs, but you're so different. And I've had multiple people tell me that they're Aquarians who are with a Scorpio, or they're attracted to somebody, because they are, it's just so different. If this person is like a Scorpio particularly, but it could be Cancer, it could be Pisces, they may not be able to share their feelings. And so you're getting into that dynamic where you're going to try to draw it out of them. And this is something that women do all the time. Women have this need to understand another person's emotional nature when they're in a relationship. And that can lead when the other person senses that you really want something badly, they can pull back even more. But on the other hand, when they are withdrawing, you may sense that, and you may double down and become more nosy and aggressive about trying to figure them out. And this, like, if this card had been read in the upright position, it would have been a male, an older male, who is actually very in touch with his feelings. But this is somebody who's closed off from his feelings. He may actually, that can lead him to be cruel, to be emotionally abusive. So it can be taken to that extreme too. But it's really up to you, Aquarius, of how you're going to handle this. If this person isn't like a bad person and he's not being emotionally abusive, but he is just very closed off to his feelings, then it makes sense that you stop trying so hard to kind of draw him out, and just be very straightforward and say, I notice that it's very difficult for you to express yourself emotionally. And wait to see what he says. And you could say, I need that in a relationship. That's a non-negotiable. So I'm willing to be somebody that you can say anything to, and I won't judge. I might challenge you about your beliefs or your feelings, but I'm not going to deny them if that's how you feel. And you can let him know that expressing himself is safe with you. At the crux of all of this is the Nine of Pentacles. So looking at it from the male-female dynamic, and given the fact that most of the people watching this will be females, if you're dealing with a man and you feel like you can't reach him emotionally, and that is impeding your ability to really commit to the relationship yourself, because the thing is you're very independent, and this is kind of like what may be making him the way that he is, especially if he is a water sign or an earth sign, because these are feminine signs. So the men who are feminine signs will tend to be macho. This is my own personal opinion. And they will tend to want women to assume traditional roles. And when he sees how financially independent you are and things like that, that may cause him to doubt himself if he's not where you're at. If he doesn't have the success you have, that might cause him to withdraw and feel like he's not good enough for you. And so be sensitive to anything like that. If you give him the message along those lines, be sensitive of that so that you don't misunderstand his motivations. The higher message is represented by the devil. So this is about looking at how compulsive behavior affects a relationship adversely. So whether this is excess sex, excess materialism, maybe, like when I say materialism, greed, not saying that making money is bad, but the lust aspect of it, the lust of making money, the lust of self-indulgence, and not seeing the difference between that and honoring yourself, pampering yourself, and being able to give yourself some treats now and then. But if there's a relationship that you're in where it's more of a material thing or a sexual thing, then admit that to yourself. Don't keep trying to make something work that is not on solid ground, it never was. And so you're doubling down, trying so hard to make it work, and it just can't, because it was never the kind of relationship that it should have been. The advice is represented by the Chariot, so it's about focusing. I would say this is law of attraction. Focus, try to identify the ideal situation that you would like to experience in a romantic relationship. What is this person like? What kind of things would you do together? And get clear in your head of what you're looking for. And by doing that, you keep that image very front and center. The Chariot is talking about a lot of distractions around you, but your eyes are on the prize, and you know what you want, and you're going after it. And just with that intention, it's so important to manifest. Because a lot of times people are ambivalent. And of course with Aquarius, there's always going to be probably that part of you that is like, I don't want to lose my freedom. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my freedom in the context of this relationship. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because then you end up kind of maybe subtly rejecting the other person, trying to have an excuse for the relationship to break up so that you can feel that sense of freedom again. What's coming in is represented by the Seven of Cups, and this is a lot of choices. Maybe you're going to be really, if you were like focusing on one person, maybe you're just going to decide to play the field. You could have a lot of opportunities, but this card is kind of showing you that all that glitters isn't gold. Don't believe the hype of anybody that you meet. Make sure that they have the goods to back up whatever they claim to be about in relationships. And it's also about not lying to yourself. This could be about bringing in somebody who's a Pisces. Now, that King of Cups could be a Pisces for sure. Oh, yeah, and the other thing, too, is that the King of Cups in reverse could be somebody who's an alcoholic. So, in that case, the Eight of Pentacles could be you're just working a lot to kind of escape this, having to be home that much with that person, but also being a codependent, trying to make this person quit by doing different kind of tricks and not being able to make it happen and then doubling down. The Seven of Cups can deal with addiction too, so that could be reiterating that. The outcome is the Five of Wands, so there may be some kind of things coming to a culmination where you have to really clear the air and let somebody know how their behavior has been affecting you, whether it's emotional abuse or substance abuse that you have to be impacted by. I got this card with another sign as well. I think it was Virgo, I'm not sure. But it's really about asserting yourself in a world of where there's a lot going on. Just like with that Seven of Cups, you may have a lot of suitors, a lot of people who are wanting to date you, and yet you may be a little bit reticent to, and it's like getting back into the fray of that kind of rambunctious dating scene. If you're with somebody who, I kind of hit upon this idea of the person feeling inferior to you, you may have a fight about that, and you might have to tell them, no, this is not about me feeling that way about you. That's in your head. That's how you've been treating me, but that's not how it is. And that person may disagree, and you may have an argument where you really believe that they're not believing that they are worthy of your affections. And that could be why this person is acting out too. But then I got another card, and it was the card of the soulmate. So it could either mean that you haven't met your soulmate yet. Hold out for the soulmate. Don't allow any kind of drama in the relationship. And this may be kind of a cyclical thing where you've experienced this before. Don't allow drama to substitute for passion. And don't mistake it for the real love of your life coming in. Because it could be right around the corner. And I think, no, that was a different sign. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, Aquarius. But hopefully you are going to come in contact with somebody who is really attuned to you in all ways, that you might consider a soulmate. That's how deep a connection you have. If you'd like a personal reading to look at this more in depth, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have an awesome May. Bye.